Good afternoon, evening, morning, if you happen to be watching internationally, in which case, welcome to the finals that you want to watch. I know there are other events that might be happening, but those events don't involve uni teams, and they certainly don't involve Rocket League. My name is Max Formal. Joining me is Fetch as we get ready to continue on our playoff spree. It's winners quarterfinal day as we're going to be opening with UQ Purple taking on Deakin.
Yeah, it should be an interesting couple of matches we've got here. Of course, we are moving into finals, so we're moving into the best-of-7 format. Times for big beefs, back and forth beefs. Slogfest, I guess, is probably a better way to put that. But yeah, UQ Purple versus, pardon me, Deakin Boys. Should be an interesting one to start us off. I think we kind of have some set favorites in UQ Purple, you know, if I'm not very ridiculously misremembering these teams. But it should still be an interesting match, you know. A full best-of-7. We haven't really seen that from these teams yet, and I'm excited to get underway.
Yeah, I mean, UQ Purple did win, I believe it was Group C, which was one of the more competitive groups in order to get that auto advance to the winners quarterfinal. Deakin Boys had to go up against the UON Plat Num Nums, a team that we saw actually. They had to fight hard to get that spot. A bit unfortunate that they dropped out, 4-0, but the Deakin Boys will be coming up against them. And of course, later tonight as well, it will be the battle between the USYD teams, Rocket Lorg versus OpenNet Esports. We'll get more on that later, but as we zoom in, taking a look at UQ Purple versus the Deakin Boys, a quick look at those lineups. DZ, McLaren, and Little Pete on FN. Last time we saw them, it was all about McLaren, proving to be an amazing both team player rotationally and mechanical monkey as well. Was fantastic for Deakin Boys. I have to admit, first time I've been able to catch them on stream. Fates, Malson, Slimy Man for the Dark One, as well as Call Me Moo. Call Me Moo, I do believe has been playing before in this event. That name sounds familiar. I imagine, though, you may have cast these guys earlier in the season.
I'm pretty sure. I know I have. I don't know who was casting with me, but I believe I've casted with them. I can't remember exactly what impact they left, but from memory, I think it was... it was obviously pretty good. Like, being in the top 3 in any of these groups is pretty phenomenal. But we did look at some of the plays from UQU, and they were pretty phenomenal. So Deakin gonna have to show that extra level of performance at least.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting to see what will happen. Now, the winner of, or I should say the loser of this game will have to go down, I believe, against, well, you can't really see it because of the way how this thing kind of zoomed in, but they will be playing against the QUT Rusketeers, if I am not mistaken. The winner, of course, will advance to the winner's semifinal, or they'll have either the Monash Ball Chasers or RMIT Black in their future. So, obviously a lot on the line, as you can see by looking at those past scores as well. No longer playing best of 5s, we are playing best of 7s. So these series are going to be a little bit longer, more times to adjust, adapt, and hopefully get some solid Rocket League in. Yet before we go too far, we do have some sponsors we'd like to thank in order for, getting this entire event together.
Of course we do. They're fantastic. You hear about them every week. We just love talking about them so much. The first one is going to be AOC, our Monitor partner. They are the very global leader in display technology. Incredibly clear refresh rates, really, really high quality screens, great color, and everything in that. Of course, we always talk about if you do manage to catch us in a live event in the future. Of course, it's a bit hard right now. You'll be able to see all of those lovely AOC monitors. And second of all is Chatime, our presenting partner. Fresh iced tea. Try the new range at your local store today. 120 Chatime breweries around the community with great quality ingredients, passionate staff, and an incredible combination of mix-ins. And of course, our noodle partner, Indomie. Feed your game with Indomie. I don't know why I did the finger guns under the table. That wasn't going to work out, but it's there in spirit, right? Yeah. Indomie noodles are made from carefully selected ingredients, the best quality flour and fresh spices from natural resources of Indonesia, giving it a unique and delicious taste. Over 14 products in there, expanded to 14 different products in their range, I should say. Let us know on social media how you have both your Indomie and your Chatime. We're always looking for recommendations and interesting combinations. And finally, Rig Headsets, what it takes to win. Rig developed headsets delivering superior audio for competitive gamers and streamers at all level. And as we always say, if you think we sound bad, you're just not using the right headsets.
Yeah, very, very true. But yeah, that is a big thank you once again to all of our sponsors. Of course, we could not have an event without them as such, especially, it seems like year after year, season after season, they've continually helped show supports for, intervarsity and now at times high school esports as well here at AEL. And it's always a big thank you to them for allowing these events to continue and grow. As this has been the largest season yet. This will be, I think, the biggest final we have seen yet. As we take a look, we will be going to Mansfield. A beautiful look at this stadium, might I add. Just sort of waiting for the players now to jump on in. I mean, It's exciting. It's always a different atmosphere, I feel like, when we get to the playoffs.
Yeah, it is. It's like you can kind of feel the teams, and like you can kind of have that whole history of the hard work and whatnot. When we first start off, we're always like talking about, oh yeah, the development and teams kind of figuring out where they are. It's sometimes people talk about like the honeymoon period for some teams where they're just all incredibly ecstatic to be playing with each other. And now it's like, no, you've put the work in, you put the time in, you're so familiar with these players that like you're going to be really like into it and really feeling the game, but you kind of have to step up that much more when it does come to the finals, which is it's pretty obvious, I feel like. But we are into game. UQU in the blue, Deakin in the orange. First broadcasted match of the finals, and I'm just incredibly excited to finally get here.
As we quickly go through the player lineup, it's going to be DZ as well as Little Pete and McLaren rocking in for the UQ side. For Deakin, we have Slimy Man 4, Fate Z, as well as Call Me Moo. Fate Z and Call Me Moo are veterans of this league. They are names I do remember for sure. Deakin, of course, hoping for a strong performance today, but they're on that defense early. Fate Z with the clear out of the goal will create some space. Little Pete, a chance for the shot, doesn't quite get an angle in order to put it through. McLaren follow-up a little bit wide to the left as well, holds the ball in the box, but Slimy Man will be able to find a clear.
You talk about veterans, and my eye always goes to DZ. I think DZ played in either a semis or a grand finals a few years ago even, and has been kind of a stalwart of the tournament. So I'm interested to see how like the rest of UQU go, but right at the moment it's a solid attack kind of coming through from Deakin. Call Me Moo wants to set this one up, does get shut down a little bit, but it's kind of going back and forth. We are seeing a very patterned gameplay, almost a slow rotate coming through from Deakin, but they are able to manage to get there in time.
Yeah, I mean, that was all set up by DZ, who was just able to keep control. Back on defense, Little Pete with the first shot into the net, scoring straight across the middle. It was McLaren on that setup. DZ follows it through, a nice pass back off the backboard, and Little Pete able to put it in. Fates unable to respond in time, and that will be first blood struck by the University of Queensland.
Yeah, they do it. And they do it off kind of a flipped attack. It wasn't quite what we'd call a counter-attack, but it did catch the... what's it called? It did catch Deakin a little bit wrong-footed, right? It caught them in a situation where they weren't quite ready for the defense to be set up immediately. But I like the fact that they kind of keep continuing to run the attack, It's not like they're just kind of sitting back playing defensively. So they're kind of experimenting, playing with their options. We haven't brought up how absolutely amazing this car is, though. That's something I'm sad we missed. And Slimy Man actually managed to get a goal as well there.
Yeah, I mean...
really showed off.
Yeah, it's because of the car selection, right? Obviously. That is an amazing car, actually. Able to just sort of escort that one down and right above that top crossbar. Great little goal scored by the Deakin boys to tie this game up. And that's a good sign to see. I think we're in for a better series this time around. Both teams have shown actually, pretty strong gameplay, particularly when on the attack. Case in point, pass down into the box and in. Great pass and shot coming from the Deakin side to take a 2-1 lead.
Yeah. I love it, and we kind of... I mentioned the fact that Deakin was caught off-footed, but a kickoff goal straight away from them counter-attacking, showing that they can kind of turn their momentum around themselves. I like it. I'm a big fan of that. That kind of response play, like whenever you get shown up with something, Slimy Man actually has the ball let through from the fake. I didn't see who the attacker was. But yeah, I'm kind of liking the fact that Deakin are putting on a solid amount of pressure here. They're kind of still... It's hard to... I'm struggling to find the exact word I'm thinking of right at the moment, but they're definitely... showing attitude in this first game rather than necessarily just sort of playing slow and sort of seeing how their opponent feels to play against. I think both these teams doing it a little bit, but it's a bit different to what we sometimes see in teams where in series where like the first game will be that experimental. Okay, let's settle into the series. Whereas the moment is a bit more like, all right, let's see what we can get away with, guys.
Yeah, it's been an interesting one. I think, again, I've really just been impressed with I want to say the composure of the attacks has been the big thing for me. I mean, we're seeing good rotations. We're seeing proper spacing for both teams. And we're seeing exploits essentially of the defense, but both teams showing off that same exploit. And I hate to sound like a broken record already. Pass forward a little bit off target, but it's been the backboard defense, particularly on the left side. All three of our goals have been set up on the left side, and except for the one from Slimy Man we saw before, they've all been using the backboard as that setup tool, despite having two defenders back in the box. And this having an impact later in the series, I do expect to see both teams sort of adjust for this and play a bit more on the backboard and play a bit further back. But what that's going to do is open up each teams for more individual drives up the side and shots like this out of Fates. This happens because the defenders were on the backboard. It's now a 3-1 Deakin lead. Look at DZ. Look at DZ's positioning. Off of the backboard, can't respond in time. Fate's able to cross it and put it through.
Wow, I've never seen like a point come to fruition so so kind of cleanly after it's made. That was impressive, you know. But yeah, I mean, hey, it seems like Deakin have sort of figuring that one out quite well, figuring out how the defense is kind of working through. Little bit of a almost punish, I guess you could call it there from the side of UQU. But I mean, if Deakin can figure that out, it's going to be up to UQU first to kind of make that adaptation. Fate's trying to play this one back. It does come off the backboard once again, but pretty good patience there from the defense off from Slimy Man. I swear, every time we cut to a Deakin team, Deakin team, it's always Slimy Man on camera. It's always that same car. Got a different shot here as we played for defense. DZ going up for that 50 right in front of goal. It's going to be pushed out, but I mean, UQ, they're not finding much momentum on the attack, but at least they're holding possession, I guess. Oh, never mind.
That's still looking good, though. DZ will be able to find the goal, trying to slicing through traffic. And again, it's sort of that backboard that opens up the doorway. You see Fates. Second time we've seen Fates actually get stuck in the goal. The bump from McLaren as well onto Call Me Moo, helping provide that goal scored. And this, going back to the point I made at that, Fates twice now for both of UQ's goals has been in the goal itself as it's been scored. And that has me a little bit concerned early. I don't typically like defending in the goal. Call Me Moo takes advantage of their own setup, a 4-2 lead for the side of Deakin.
Yeah, they're running the Pokemon style revenge killer strat here. It seems just like, oh, you scored on us, bang, straight back immediately, easy, answered. But yeah, like Deakin. Okay, so maybe we kind of rectify the point. I'll rectify the point I was making before, where Deakin, they found that adaptation and they've sort of figured out the keys to the offense, but they might need to sort of change their defensive strategies just a little bit. DZ caught in a bit of an awkward position there as the ball does come forward. A great pass, and it might actually be in a great position. It was in fact the 1-2-3 play. I didn't think it had enough speed here, but Call Me Moo just puts the ball up perfectly to Slimy Man, who had that backboard positioning and drops down great for Fates. That was a fantastic passing play, even if it didn't have the momentum of those big slams we sometimes see.
I'm just concerned for UQ side, and how come it's that left backboard and that left corner that's been exploited time and time again? It's definitely unusual. Call Me Moo comes from the right side again. If backboard's exposed, Little Pete, I think, got a wheel on it underneath. No one across the middle. It should be a clear into the net, but it's wide to the right. Follow-up double commit. Both players miss, and that's probably going to do it for game number one. Now, to answer your question, Wolf, I saw that before. This is a best of 7, not a best of 5. So action will be continuing on throughout. Fate Z looking for yet another goal through that left side. Almost got that pass to Call Me Moo, unable to connect.
Yeah, and I mean, you're right. It is like, it was a very astute point. I mean, maybe it's the way they're attacking. Lil Pete does tap that one in. Maybe didn't need the confirmation, but hey, score credit feels good. And this game is still, you know, it's still down to 3-5. It doesn't mean that we're going to see 2 goals in the last 12 seconds. But yeah, kind of touching that backboard play. It is just been a place they've gone to a bit. And I do wonder a touch if Deakin have just practiced playing off the left board. You know how sometimes when you see players, they'll practice things coming from one particular side or one particular angle, and they realize that's like their comfort angle. I kind of wonder if there's a little bit of that, but it is interesting to see how it's kind of going to go on in terms of playing off the backboard. There might be one more for Lil Pete, but not absolutely denied with a rocket in from, I didn't see who the defender was. But yeah, at the end of the day, Deakin do take that first game, even with some questions kind of on their defense as well.
Yeah, there were, but I don't think they've been as extreme. In fact, when you take a look at the shot differential right there on the screen, it shows the story of how UQ, I think, did a better job of controlling the pace. But Deakin had fast counterattacks frequently from that left side that were able to turn into goals, especially when they either got that ball to the backboard or they were able to capitalize defenders on the backboard and find tight angle shots. Really, really impressed with how aggressive we've seen this Deakin side go for it. Now, UQ, on the other hand, the player that I'm still waiting to see get a bit more involved is McLaren. McLaren has only had strong touches in this game, but for the most part has been kind of away from the play as much as I would like to see. Hopefully, UQ can find a way to get McLaren a bit more involved as we move forward in this series. Off the backboard, you can see McLaren, good touch forward, and yeah, more situations like that. I think if McLaren can find a way to get more involved in this game, we could see better results for the UQ side.
And they do have to break some of this passing play as well to sort of make that happen, I feel like, a little bit. They're kind of giving too many of these passes out. Fates just goes straight for the shot. 2 players do defend it, but it wasn't quite a double commit. I don't think we can call it that. That one, however, was Lil Pete does tuck in the corner, though. And yeah, you're right. Actually, we hadn't really seen much of McLaren, who was able to make some of those plays individually from memory last time we saw them on stream. Slow attack being set up here. DZ has an opportunity to clear.
Oh!
Does do so with help, and that was just a big clear from the midfield.
Yep. This was an awkward touch from Slimy Man that Fates I don't think was ready for, and at that stage the panic mechanics were beginning. The third member from the Deakin side, who I believe was Call Me Moo, was trying to press forward to get to the play in time, but that exposed the entire middle of the field. Little Pete gets their first 1-0 lead for UQ. To quickly go back, though, to the point about McLaren, one of the reasons why I don't think we've seen McLaren get too involved in this game is because either McLaren has been going for clear shots off that backboard, or when McLaren has been a bit further forward, there's always been a player on Deakin sort of just reading it. And Deakin, for the most part, until we saw right there with that press forward, great shot, by the way, and a better save from DZ. But what Deakin has been doing well is they've been sort of spying on a lot of these clear attempts, and they've been making sure that UQ doesn't frequently get 2 touches in a row, because otherwise McLaren will do this. The second touch goes into the net.
You asked McLaren. McLaren was the one who played that straight down the field, got 2 bounces off the wall, had the exact position, sort of was able to beat out the defense, who wasn't even the defense at that point, to be fair, given how far they ran it for.
Yeah, so they were trying to do what they've been doing so far all game, and it's been mostly, okay. I'm not going to comment on this one. We're just going to ignore that. 3-0 lead. Because, so, for most of this game, I've noticed Fates has been acting as the spy on McLaren. So whenever McLaren would get a touch, it's frequently been Fates, the next player on the Deakin side, to get that responding touch. For that goal to make it 2-0, Fates had pressed forward, I think expecting a lighter touch, and McLaren was just able to get it right over the top. And unfortunately for Deakin, they're putting a lot of faith in Fates, funnily enough. And the second Fates got beat, the entire field opened up. So just keep your eyes on that, and I'm curious if they're going to stick with that. But it does feel like every time McLaren has the ball, Fates is there. Speaking of Fates, a deep clear turns into another goal.
Yeah, and it was on McLaren as well. McLaren was the closest player to it. Not saying they had an opportunity necessarily to save it and quite to the angles. But yeah, exactly. It's impressive that we haven't actually cast a curse this game yet. Like, you made a lot of really solid, bold statements, and
I didn't call it out. I definitely did.
But it's the fact that it's like this thing's gonna happen. Bang, happen. I'm kind of impressed here. I'm not gonna lie.
So we're gonna ignore the start of the second game then, when I said McLaren needs to touch the ball more and then completely whiffed it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, look, the hit rate's good enough. The hit rate's good enough is what I'm thinking. But at the moment, like, I am really liking the way that UQU are kind of actually stepping up into this game a bit more. Like, they are obviously, we haven't seen them test on the defense in kind of the ways we saw a little bit in that last game. They are just playing the offense a bit better. Call Me Moo has an opportunity though. Comes off the crossbar. DZ just gonna get a very comfortable touch off on that one. Baits out actually. Kind of catches Slimy Man in a very awkward position, and now McLaren has another opportunity for a touch, but it just gets contested by Fates, as you kind of mentioned before. Little Pete back on defense, should be able to comfortably take this one up, just bounce it forward. And even though the shot is on, McLaren has an opportunity here. Goes up for it. It's going to be on the 1v1 against Slimy Man. It comes off the backboard, and they don't quite get the read, but it was a pretty awkward angle. That said, for now, Deakin getting the earlier touches on these plays.
As we see Slimy Man off the roof, gets the backboard pass. Call Me Moo a little bit too far forward, but Fates is there over the top. Double commit from the defense. Opens the doorway, and Deakin's back within 1. And this is something that I'm noticing as a big problem for UQ. They still haven't been able to defend the backboard passes. I know only 2 goals were scored, but even when we were sort of talking before, Deakin has been able to get that ball off the backboard multiple occasions to find passes again and again, and the defense just straight in front of the goal for UQ has been severely lacking, and they've been stacking the box, and that's what's so surprising to me. They continue to stack the box, and they continue to struggle. I almost want to see either more pressure played through the corner, or even further up, more at the middle of the field like we see right here. I think those are going to be more apt responses. McLaren scores off the midfield interception.
Yeah, and that was a solid effort by Little Pete here. I didn't actually realize that was a lovely little pass in the midfield we saw at the beginning of that replay, but just a great waterfall down to pick from McLaren. Call Me Moo just didn't have the position. As it bounces out just that little bit further out, it's quite a hard sort of area to defend from. You're right, it's just a great shot, really. And I think that's the thing. Like, it's kind of almost like UQU were like, okay, we lost last game. What do we do this game? More offense, you know? And so they're still kind of, as you said, stacking the box. They're just putting 3 players in front of goal. They aren't seeming to play for boost much as well. At least I haven't seen them sort of picking up those corner boosts and things like that. Okay.
That would have been an amazing pass and shot had that one gone through. I was hoping for it. Deakin still looking to get themselves back in the game. Deakin's on the attack. It definitely does not tend to last as long. They either score quickly or give it up quickly. Case in point, straight down the middle. The counterattack finds yet another goal. 8 points potentially in this game, only at 7 right now. I don't know why my math is so bad. Either way, UQ now with the 3-goal cushion, looking very confident in our second game.
Look, you had me when you said it's almost 8 points. I believed you. I thought this was like some intentional narrative stuff. But yeah, like that's kind of it. Deakin, they fire quick, and then they kind of, I don't know. It seems like they're getting scored on quickly because they can't hold that possession. But they actually had really good passing play in that first game. You know, it was quite good. And to be fair, there has been some answers found from the side of UQU, but maybe they need to bring that one back a little bit. Slimy Man trying to play this one off that back left backboard, but has to regain possession of it first. Call Me Moo can't quite hold on to it either, and it's straight back into the hands of UQU. They're going to try and force this one across the line. Doesn't quite work out. Gets a little bit scrimmagey for a second there. Call Me Moo straight back on the play. Tries to play it off the backboard, but doesn't have the passing members anyway. DZ just goes up and lets that one down from McLaren.
Off the backboard, Little Pete actually going to go for a slower approach. The Musty through traffic. 6-2 lead. UQ puts their stamp on game number 2.
Yeah, okay. Just the gridlock Musty there. Lovely. That was actually a very, very cool goal. We were kind of sure wanted to see this displays of talent from the side of UQU, and there it is, just in raw form. And yeah, you wouldn't believe that they kind of lost that first game from just how strong they're looking right at the moment.
Yeah, but at the same time, though, this is sort of what we expected to see in game number 1 as well. When you look at the shot, if there was a way to look at time of possession, it would all favor the UQ side. The issue has been the fast counterattacks from Deakin. We're finding a lot of success, especially when played through that left side. This game, though, there hasn't been as many opportunities for Deakin. UQ has been a lot more effective when on the attacking side as well, and we're seeing more of that individual prowess come through. We've seen it on McLaren. We saw it just then with Little Pete. If given space, UQ knows how to mix up their attack and be incredibly dynamic. This is going to be a very high-scoring series as we see the ball in front of the net eventually does get knocked in by Call Me Moo. But yeah, it feels like these are two teams much more comfortable on offense, much more comfortable with fast-paced tempo. It's almost like a ones game, but played with threes.
It's weird, because it's not like it's been an individual, oh, I just out-mechanic my opponent, ha ha ha, I've won. But I know what you mean. Like, there has been, yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean in terms of, like, the way the game flows, the way the tempo works. Like, if the ball goes past the defender, it's done.
You know what it is? It's like basketball. It feels more like a basketball game, actually, to be quite honest. With how fast we're seeing these attacks go back and forth and the frequency that they're finding those goals, it almost feels like basketball. Because normally I compare, like everyone always compares Rocket League to soccer, right? Because the obvious. Yeah. But I always like to compare it to ice hockey instead because of the constant motion as well as sort of like the rotational play and all of that. But this game has been much more basketball. Almost, where it's just up and down the court, shot, because no team has really been able to maintain possession after that first or second shot. Like, we haven't seen many rebounds go the way of the attacker, I suppose is the best way to put it. So it's turning into sort of who's better with a more dynamic initial attack. And thus far, I would argue that's been UQ. Case in point, they do it again, McLaren puts it in.
Yeah, I think you kind of nailed that, actually. Because, like, yeah, to kind of expand on that point, oftentimes when you look at these plays, the way, like, an offense we set up in a traditional sport is by sort of having the play, like, kind of a pass back and forth between the attackers. You know, you kind of set up the, you kind of set it up to try and, what's the word? I completely lost the point I was making. But yeah, no, you're right. I think I'm exactly with you on that point. I haven't watched a lot of ice hockey, but yeah, I'm kind of with you on that. Call Me Moo's going to try and dribble this down the field, tries to run it past DZ Bra. Pardon me, doesn't quite get it, brah. Yeah,
brah.
Absolutely. Past his brah. Look, it actually just finds a dispossession, which almost gets it. I thought it might have been own goal for Fates. Yeah, it's camera angle, that's fine. I haven't had that yet.
I love that bruh sound effect. I don't know why. It tickles me. I don't even know what it's from.
No, neither. I think it's just it's probably like some obscure streamer who has, like, you know, not a huge follower base, but enough that it, like, when it got clipped, it spread. Well,
at that same token, you say some obscure streamer. I've been sick for a while. Spoiler alert if you followed my Twitter at all. When you're sick, you come across some dark places of YouTube. I've been binging a lot of Mr. Beast videos, actually, and that bruh sound effect is frequently used there. Either way, shot from McLaren's not quite going to hit. Instead, we see Little Pete can't quite get it through. Still a minute 37 remaining. UQ again on the attack, and you can see these slower touches actually finding a bit of success for Deakin, and I like seeing that. Deakin trying to slow down the pace right now, get UQ to overcommit, and then I imagine we'd see a fast counterattack as Slimy Man got the ball to the backboard. Call Me Moo makes the defenders miss, but can't stay behind the ball.
Yeah, Deakin just not structuring these attacks as well. This game not been as high scoring as the previous one. Little Pete almost finds a midfield goal there, is able to put it, again, put it past the defenders, but not in a way which sort of works too well. 50-50 goes in the favor of Deakin, but only barely. DZ's actually the one to get it before Slimy Man, and that overcommitment is going to cause a double commit on the defense as well, but Fate's still able to pull that one through quite well. Good discipline there. We kind of worried a little bit about some of the move Fates was making, but that was a good play at least. DZ's going to try and dribble it in through the air, but it just gets blocked out in defense. Seems like Deakin kind of making sure they can solidify this defensive line at least for a little while before they can start working their attacks. An individual play and 2 demos, but just no one to pick the ball up afterwards.
Had Call Me Moo maintained possession through that could have been a very sick open net goal. As it stands halfway through our third game, and it is Deakin on the attacking front. Ball can waterfall down. Call Me Moo's there, but was expecting the defensive touch. It's a case of the whiffles. It's spreading like the plague fetch. No one can get contact. Little Pete doing gymnastic somersaults up the field. Finally, McLaren takes it, turns it into a shot, but it's not quite wide enough.
Oh no, it's contagious. But you know what? We've regained control. We've regained composure. Everything's all right now. Slime Man's going to hit the ball up into the corner. Potential for a clear. Is going to play it up high a little bit, but has a few players to kind of contend with. McLaren is going to pick this one up. 1 goal lead is really not... we always say it, but you know, I think it's worth repeating. 1 goal lead is not a huge amount in Rocket League, given you know, the overtime. That sort of last second, I should say, rather than overtime, where you can still get another goal. All those factors. Now the ball is going to be run down by Fates, but you're just going to get interrupted by Little Pete again, and we are kind of... We're seeing more of a table tennis game now.
Yep. That was one of the more ambitious pre-jumps I have ever seen from Fates right there. That's what I do in my games. Interesting to see. But yeah, absolutely. This has turned into a bit more of table tennis, I suppose, a bit more back and forth. Although you can see teams getting a little bit more impatient. Each of them have been sitting 2 attackers forward for the past 30 seconds or so. Lob shot from Call Me Moo finds the top right bin, and we got a tie game.
Yeah, in that one, I mean, 2 defenders had already been beaten out. McLaren was just kind of behind on the tempo, so it became relatively a 1v1. I mean, credit to DZBro for actually getting back there, because DZBro, I think, was the player who was beaten out at the beginning of that replay. But at the end of the day, it just kind of just become a 1v1, you know, attacker versus goalie. And that does tend to go the way of the attackers once you get a little bit more into these sort of plays. Little Pete has an open goal, goes up high, though. I don't think that was quite the touch they wanted, but does go to McLaren, so possibly still an opportunity, but Fates is just going to put it out wide. There's our 1 minute mark. Tied game right at the moment. Could be going to overtime. The chances are the next goal will seal it. Call Me Moo's going to be hanging around on that backboard. Doesn't bite for that one. So Deakin playing slow defense right now, but still need to find the clear. Hey, there it is. Going to go back onto that top left corner, that left backboard you talked about being so dangerous earlier for UQU.
Okay, something that I didn't notice before, but I have noticed now in regards to Slimy Man. As we get that camera hopefully back on them. There they are. It's good save by Call Me Moo. The topper actually blows bubbles.
Yeah.
That's amazing. All right.
It's weird. Yeah, 22 seconds to go, though. Call Me Moo's going to play it downfield. Bit of an opportunity. That was an important point. Like, I agree. Slimy Man's car is very important. I'm not sure how I feel about it, but it is important.
Oh, DZ! Oh, couldn't quite find that next touch. That could have been the final second clincher. UQ still on the attack. Little Pete doesn't make contact. McLaren does, puts it high, and it's not cleared out yet. Slimy Man, a chance for the counterattack, has the ball hit the ground, and we have our first overtime in game number 3.
You can see the twinkle in Slimy Man's eye where they were like, oh, I want to keep playing this. I want to keep this alive, but we're not going to happen. Right at the moment is UQU who are going to be the ones opening up on defense. Oh, on offense, sorry. They get a demo, but it does lose them possession at least for a second. DZ wants to hold this ball at least in their attacking half, and it's actually quite fast, quite aggressive play coming out right at the moment. 3 defenders, I think, jump up for that, and 2 attackers, so no one really there to take the rebound. And the play's just kind of stall out a little bit. Slime Man's going to get the ball, but is in a very dangerous spot.
Oh, a little bit too much power for McLaren to really follow it up. Boost is being conserved, though, by the Fennec player, as DZ is going to try to find a pass through the corner. Slimy Man should be able to collect, but doesn't get a lot of power behind it. Back pass over to Fates, trying to create a bit more power on the clear. Again, Slimy Man's able to follow it through. Lil Pete out of position, but Fates isn't able to corral it for the shot. DZ now, middle of the field, has a little bit of boost to work with, trying to find a pass to the middle, but no follow-up is there. Shot might have come from Slimy Man had they been willing to expel it. Both teams struggling to maintain boost right now, actually causing the pace of this overtime to slow down.
Yeah, it's kind of like often you see teams get really like, okay, take a breath, guys. We'll start off this off slowly, kind of like the first game in a series, but they are just going really, really aggressive, throwing the boost at every play, which means there's left on the field generally, and it's going to slow down the play. It's an interesting effect. That was a big pinch coming through. Doesn't quite get the angle they might have liked, though, so Call Me Moo's just going to intercept it, and Lil Pete trying to set up some sort of play. Didn't really have the tools to pass it off to McLaren. But, you know, they're still able to hold on to the ball for a little bit. It feels like UQU, they're just kind of playing possessive right at the moment. They're not setting up big plays. They're not setting up fast plays. A good pass off to Lil Pete. But again, I don't know if they're going to find much. Actually goes right in front of the goals. McLaren is there to possibly set up the waterfall and almost gets put in by DZ. So close. UQ starting to figure out the avenues through which they want to play this attack.
Perhaps they are, but now they have to play defense because we still have Deakin looking to end this one. Fates doesn't take the shot, and that will cause Lil Pete to press forward. McLaren will be the one looking for the shot, I think, right here. DZ misses completely, though, and Call Me Moo able to bang it back up towards the corner. We had McLaren in a bit of an awkward spot. Little Pete will be able to keep that ball held up high. Through the corner we go. Follow through with Little Pete. McLaren tries to follow up with another touch, but loses out as Fates clears it to the safety of the opposite end of the field. I feel like there are small windows that Deakin just aren't taking at times. They are creating openings for themselves, but they're playing the safe option again and again. Ball in front of the net. No one there from UQ to end this overtime.
Yeah, I was actually thinking that, looking at, I went a little close there. I thought if Lil Pete was in a different angle, UQ still on the possession, but I agree with your point. I thought there was opportunity there where Deakin could have just let the ball slam down the other side, but they're worried about giving up possession once again. Slimy Man has an opportunity. Does kind of dribble down to Lil Pete, who does take a first touch and isn't able to get much more of that as the 50 kind of goes into relatively neutral space, but is picked up very nicely by UQU. But again, they just kind of end up putting it straight back in the favor of the attackers. They're trying to find an avenue. They've got that very linear defense stacked up here, but at the moment it's holding on for them.
It has been holding on very much so, although that's a good read by Slimy Man. No follow-up, though. Would have liked to keep that ball a bit more centered with one boost. Still finds another touch to Call Me Moo. Almost able to sneak it by McLaren, who comes up big with the save. Now, a UQ attack, 2v1, and the 2 does win out. 2 defenders, of course. I was counting that one behind McLaren. 3 minutes into this overtime, or rather just over. Still, neither team able to sort of break the defense. Aggressive play might get punished, though, as Deakin now has an opening. Little Pete shuts it down in the corner.
And you talked about Fates kind of marking up on McLaren earlier on in the game as they trade demos. But actually, it seems like Fates at the moment has almost kind of been put in that dedicated goal position. We see them moving up a little bit now, but earlier in the piece, they were just hanging way further back. Now they're out. McLaren's going to take a shot on, which is a little bit high. Slimy Man tried to play it off the corner, but UQ holding it in its attacking half. They need some passing options. Little People's in the center of the field. DZ goes up. It's off the crossbar. McLaren has a second shot at it and does just find it. A 4-minute overtime finished off by a good kind of counterattack on the side of UQU, but the defenders kind of stacking up in the same position, getting caught a little bit off guard. They were there in time, but they just didn't quite see where the play was coming from. That said, a great series of passing plays from UQ to put themselves in a pretty good advantage in the series.
Yeah, UQ now up 2-1 after that overtime. Now, granted, it is a best of 7, not a best of 5, so they're still 2 games away from putting this one past them and advancing to that winner's semifinal. Going back to that last goal, though, it was interesting to me that Deakin allowed McLaren that much space to find the shot, considering they had 2 players in the box. Granted, I think they felt like because of their rotation, they weren't going to be able to cut forward. And once again, Fates, in attempting to give space to the teammate, found themselves at the back of the net and trying to defend from there, which is never quite where you want to be. So it was sort of an awkward position for them, and McLaren, who I stand by, is probably the best player, arguably, on the pitch right now, given that much space to find that shot, is going to put it through, I feel, 9 times out of 10. Very unfortunate to Deakin that they sort of allowed themselves to fall in that position. Wound up costing them the game. However, these 2 teams are so evenly matched. This series has been such a treat already. I wouldn't be surprised if we start looking at the distance for this one, because both teams have had ample chances to sort of prove their worth already, and I feel like it's going to come down to one of those games where it's going to be one or two critical moments that defines who wins it and who loses this series.
I believe it. I'd completely believe it, especially given how close that game was. It looks like Deakin were in their own head a bit, a little stressed out. Fates is going to try and find that one. Simon Man has the second pass, but doesn't quite go on target. They keep the counterattack. They keep the attacking pressure on for a little bit longer. Lose the ball in the middle of the field. McLaren tries to take a 1v1 against Fates, but it's just way too late to that ball. UQ holding on for a little bit longer, but yeah, my point was that in that in that sort of overtime, it really looked like Deakin were a bit too stressed. They were a bit too anxious. They weren't quite sure where they should be in a lot of those situations. And the second you start feeling like that, even quite solid players can kind of make mistakes. Lovely, lovely double touch coming through from Lil Pete.
Yeah, we're going to watch this one again. Pete with their own setup, able to read that one through the corner, finds the angle, puts it through. Now, the ball he did hit the ground was under 100K, so you're going to get a B- grade at best. But still, good time for a goal like that. UQ strike first, 1-0 lead.
And to be fair, it was the fact that it came off that part of the corner where it's a little bit deceptive because you hit just where the curve is and, you know, a little bit either side, and it could change the angle fundamentally, which is just a little tricksy play. But yeah, I mean, they're straight back on the attack now. On the topic of whiffles, couple of whiffs, both those from the offense though, so it's going to buy enough time for Fates to clear this one out potentially.
Yeah, as we do see a bit of a jam in that midfield line. Eventually, Call Me Moo will be the one who tries to press it forward. Ball, water falling down. Only defenders there, and in fact, it's a good pass up to DZ, who doesn't have a third person to pass it to. McLaren presses it forward, did dodge both the defenders, but doesn't put it in spot for an easy shot. And finally, Slimy Man will find the clear. And it was a double commit on the attack. McLaren has to play backboard defense now. Only 18 boosts to work with. Turns it into a pass. But I think that was a miscommunication from the UQ side. They lose possession. An opening for Deakin now. Get it passed through the corner again. McLaren, weak touch. There's 3 attackers there, and no one can find an avenue to turn it into a shot. Eventually, DZ wins a 50 to clear it back to the orange side.
Yeah, on topic 50s, that one could have been important. Little Pete does kind of take the advantage of it. DZ almost puts that in a good angle, but Slime Man just playing that post defense. McLaren wants to set another one up. Actually tries to go for the solo players. DZ keeps the rotational attack going. Slime Man just wants to put an end to that one, but they flicked it back. That was a very awkward touch from Fates. 2 defenders go up. It's a big double commit.
No!
It doesn't come through. It's off the top. It comes off the crossbar, and UQ could have put themselves that crucial 2-0 lead.
Oh my goodness, that would have been a devastating blow against Deakin as well. They lose this game, they find themselves at match point against them with a sort of 3 wins needed in a row and a 2-0 lead in such a tight series. Things would have looked so good for UQ. As it stands, they are still on the attack. They're going to get another chance. Fates versus DZ. Fates wins the 50 this time, but winds up putting it sort of in an awkward spot. Call Me Moo will be there to clear it out eventually. This attack, though, is challenging so far for Deakin. Again, they're trying to slow the pace down with these more delicate touches, and they are baiting UQ forward. It's sort of a case right now with Deakin. They're just waiting for that opportunity to find the counterattack, but Little Pete shut it down. They double committed. It's only Fates back on defense, and Fates does just enough to make the initial save. Second shot goes a bit too wide, and Deakin barely survives there.
Yeah, but they've barely survived for quite a while now. You know, someone needs to be able to do something here. I mean, I like the pressure from UQ because it means they're not getting scored on just at the second. Like, that's kind of the idea. If you're putting pressure on your
this is the breakaway they wanted, though!
Oh, no.
That was the play that Deakin was trying to get, and that's how come they had been playing so confidently on defense the entire time. They were slowing the pace down, allowing UQ to cheat further forward, cheat further forward, cheat further forward. They had a hint at getting that goal before. It didn't work, but the second time was the charm. They found an over-aggressive UQ side, they hit the counterattack, and they tie the game with 100 seconds remaining.
Yeah, still plenty of time for either of these teams to find a bit more of an advantage, but given how much slower this game has been, got a question if they're going to be able to. It almost looked like the teams had swapped sides for a minute there, given how many more attackers had managed to pull past the defenders. Double commit coming through. Slimy Man able to hold a position close to the goals nonetheless, and no one there to really take the big punish. Deakin, they've got a possibility to find a big attack, but they haven't found a huge amount of success when the ball has been kind of in this corner. They've either been dispossessed or they've kind of just been counterattacked. Right at the moment, they are going to be back on defense, and it feels like they're almost more happier fighting out of a clearance than actually fighting from from a passing play through midfield.
Yeah, absolutely they are, and they're doing the same thing again. Look how far back they're defending. Look how delicate these touches are out of Slimy Man. They want UQ to cheat forward, and to UQ's credit, they're making mistakes when they do. Both defenders miss a chance for a breakaway, but the demo on that back line, I think, did stop Fates from pushing it forward. So heads up play by UQ to find that demo. 40 seconds remaining left in regulation. Next goal probably taking this game. Deakin desperately needs to win this one to stay within striking distance in this series. But oh no, the Whiffles come back. Oh, it's a bad case. Everyone has some. Little Pete, fortunately, with the antidote, is able to clear it forward.
Yeah, and that was an awkward pass as well. Simon trying to put on the teammate. Double demo on the defense is going to potentially really hurt Deakin, but Simon Man's able to play the ball back by time for the respawn to come through. Call me Moo. Does enough in that 50 to give Simon Man possession, but it might not actually be enough to keep it. Right now, McLaren's just trying to keep the ball away, almost like just keeping us off while the timer ticks down just to make sure they're not the ones who are scored on. Little Pete actually picks up. I don't know if that was really an intercept. It was kind of just trying to end the game with 1 second to go. With the play going as slowly as it is, that's got to be another overtime. So, in terms of Deakin playing this very, very passive style, it sort of seemed to hurt them in that last overtime. Because like any small mistakes, and that's the game, there's no opportunity for a second counterattack, and Little Pete almost just makes it work solo. DZ's going to set up another attack, but it's not fast enough to really break the defense. But I'm wondering if Deakin are going to get hurt by that passive style in what is the second overtime they faced in a row.
Maybe, perhaps, but I still like it in this situation because they've been finding good success on it. And UQ have been playing right into it. I do feel UQ might mechanically be the better players, which is how come they can sort of play into the trap and sometimes get away with it. So it's really both teams playing the style that I feel like they might be a bit more comfortable in. Granted, Deakin earlier in this series was super aggressive, and that is an unfortunate time to press forward for the orange team. McLaren stayed forward, just played their time, waited for the ball to drop, and UQ now up 3-1 in this series.
Okay, this point isn't going to be particularly analytical, but I do want to make it. This has become less like a sport and more like, you know, those like the way people sometimes shoot big fight scenes for the visual clarity, where it becomes a bunch of people on either side who are like similarly matched, just 1v1ing. It feels like that's how this game is going, but with 50s. Every now and again, it's just like, all right, it's you and you, go 50-50, 1v1. Whoever wins it gets the play.
Yeah,
and
to go back to the ice hockey, it's sort of like, you know, when players decide to throw down those two gloves and just duke it out. Like, it makes sense to me. Fates off the kickoff. No! Oh, the net was open. That is going to be the most open goal you see, I feel like, this series. And Fates puts it a bit wide to the right.
Yeah, that's not great. But, you know, it is what it is. I guess it's not like it's a crucial goal. They are down in the series. It's a match point, but which captures it. So in fact, maybe that is. I was gonna say at least they weren't put behind by that, but.
I don't mean to be that guy, but we're in playoff time, and if I see 3 unforced errors in a row by the same player, I'm going to have to bring it up. Fates is going to want that opening exchange back. There was 3 opportunities for Fates to come up big. Couldn't come through, and to go baseball on everyone, 3 strikes, you're out. Unfortunately, it's 3 strikes, and that costs Deakin the 1-goal lead.
Oh, that makes sense. That's why they're playing so passively. They're trying to bait out the they're trying to bait out the missed pitches. Brilliant, we got it. But I watched too much baseball this week. It's bad.
Oh, actually, I'm kind of curious how the Padres going because I haven't been able to follow.
I've been following the Dodgers.
I hate
I used to play for a team called the Dodgers. Almost an attack coming through.
No. Friendship over.
It's fine. That's all right. Let's just never talk about it. We'll just pretend baseball doesn't exist. That's all right with me. But this game is it's an interesting one. It's still a little bit scrappy. Call Me Moo gets demoed. Slimy Man with the most awkward take. It's just sitting there like a rock and is just not letting that ball go anywhere further forward.
Not even the Yankees, but the Dodgers.
Wow. Wow. Okay, fine. I see
Fates
how
redemption.
It is. Well done. There's the redemption coming through. Look, I haven't figured out any of my sports teams for this this US season. I don't even know if I'm backing in the NFL. I don't know. It's
just for context, Padres and the Dodgers are very heated rivals. That's all.
But that's good. Okay, no, I'm into that then.
That's why.
Like, oh, the coach murdered 16 people in one night.
No. It's a rival. It's a rivalry thing. That's all.
Right,
it's not
good. That's good.
Yeah. Yeah, but the thing is, like, when you choose the second team in a rivalry and it's the team that always wins, it just feels like punching down if you come to embrace it either way. McLaren gets beaten not quite actually beats out Slimy Man while finding the pass to DZ, bro. That was a good pass across the field. Tie ball game, and it should be worth noting, Deakin has to win 3 games in a row at this stage. If UQ takes this next one, they take the series, go to the winner's semifinal, which would be massive, I feel, for this UQ side, considering some of the strong teams we have in this one. When we first saw the UQ team, I did peg them as a top 8 team. I wasn't sure if they were a top 4 team, but they're making an argument here as McLaren makes it 2-1.
I'm even interested in, because of course you mentioned that there
Oh
will be...
my gosh.
Oh, jeez.
That was almost a double reset. That's all.
Do you remember when in the first game we were like, McLaren's probably one of the best players in the field. You know, it's been a matter of like, well, when McLaren steps up, this will be like a sort of a massive surge of strength for UQ. Yeah, McLaren stepping up pretty well. DZ almost pulls that one over the line, but a bit of a scrappy defense, but it kind of works out for them. I'm even interested in that lower bracket match. I think either of these teams going down to play the team, we're not still entirely 100% confident if that's kind of how it's going to break out. But that lower bracket match could be interesting
against the Rusketeers.
Defense.
Yeah, because the loser of this match is against the Rusketeers.
Okay.
I would actually be very interested to see how that played out. More so if UQ lost it. Just because the first ever AEL game I watched was the loser bracket final. I forget which season, but it was between UQ and QUT, if I'm not mistaken. It had like a 10-minute overtime. DZ puts one in, and it's got to be a 3-1 lead for the UQ side.
Yeah, that was on the topic of rivalries. That was the thing, you know. It was always the Queensland unis going at it in Uni League, which I know is not like the most. I think anyone who's been following kind of university esports knows that's a thing. That is a
very real rivalry.
Absolutely, and it was like, but it was like what kind of defined AEL Uni League for Rocket League for a fair while.
I mean, I can speak for personal experience as someone who has worked with both universities. That was, especially at the time, a very, very real rivalry. Not so much between the players, but between everyone behind the scenes. Either way, DZ straight down the middle isn't quite able to turn that into a goal. And now we actually could see the ball come up the other way. 100 seconds remaining left for Deakin Boys to try to come back in this one. They need to find 2 goals. They say the 2-goal lead is the most dangerous in football. I got to move on from that motif. Either way, can they find 2 in the final minute and a half? Fate's going to be leading the charge.
Yeah, well, never go 2-0 up or something like that. I don't know. Trying to fit Smash references in here. They don't fit. And McLaren's trying to keep it going. Pass off to Little Pete, who doesn't quite find that one just yet. 1 minute 12 seconds. I guess it's worth reminding people that the stakes here are your upper bracket run for the side of Deakin. If you can't find 2 more goals in the next 1 minute, that's just it. That's the run done. You still have the ability to play through the lower bracket, but you want to try and stay in that upper bracket for as long as you can. So dropping a game like this,
DZ?
Feel awful, but DZ just finds it from the corner brilliantly, and it's now just even harder. 3-0 right now, 50 seconds remaining.
And if this turns out being the last goal of the series, of course it had to be at 117 kilometers per hour, getting over that 100 kilometer per hour mark. DZ gets it in. Fantastic goal. From, again, the only player I think still remaining from the first ever InterVarsity game I ever cast would be DZ at this stage. I don't remember if Little Pete was on the team then, but either way, 40 seconds still to go. Feels like everything's coming full circle this season as DZ going to try to hold it up. McLaren from the corner can't quite follow it through just yet. Petey puts it back up, but because of the demo across the middle, McLaren will get there first, and DZ saves his own teammate's shot. 30 seconds remaining, 3-goal differential fetch. I'm willing to call it here unless this ball somehow goes in. Slimy Man does not find it, and UQ Purple will be going to the winner's semifinal.
It is certainly looking that way, especially with how this ball's being hit. The butt touch almost happens. I guess it could have been like the wing flick or something way better than that. Does just get pushed back in. Very showy goal once again coming through by McLaren to absolutely 120% steal that one out. And it means that 117 kilometer an hour goal isn't the final one in the match.
No, McLaren had to get one more through. All well and good. As it stands, 5 seconds remaining. UQ Purple. I wore the lucky UQ jersey, and I guess it was lucky for them and not for Deakin. Usually it's lucky for the other team, because I'm pretty sure every time I wear this, UQ tends to lose. But not today. UQ advances. Deakin goes down to the lower bracket to take on QUT. So their journey and their fight against Queensland will continue. But UQU will advance. They'll have to wait to see who they play in that next round, as that game has not been played yet either. It will be either the Monash Ball Chasers or RMIT Black, two very, very scary looking teams on that front. But my goodness, what a fun series to open this one up.
Oh yeah, it was a very interesting series there. I mean, it was an odd one, definitely. There was some weird stuff going on there, but it was a lot of fun to watch. I hope people enjoyed it at home as well. And I'm interested to see that Deakin QUT matchup. I do wonder if like UQ were like, no, it's all right, guys, go down there, like mess them up for us. It'll be great. We'll see you. See you like later in the bracket. It's all good, you know. Of course, I'm being silly, but yeah, we do have another fantastic and interesting match after the break, I believe.
Yeah, that we do. We're going to be going to New South Wales to watch the University of Sydney take on the University of Sydney. It's going to be Rokit Lorg taking on OpenNet Esports in our next game. A very interesting matchup for sure. Going to be curious to see which Sydney squad does advance, but we will be throwing a break while we get that set up, so don't go too far. We'll have more Rocket League in just a few moments. Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome back to AEL's Winners Quarterfinal. It's time for our second game. The University of Sydney Rocket Lorg taking on the University of Sydney Open Net Esports. It's a battle for university supremacy with, well, a winner's semifinal spot on the line. Still joining me is Fetches. After our first series, I'm kind of hard-pressed to see how this one will top it.
I agree, but it's interesting because we have that sort of, internal battle between the two teams. I mean, if we can kind of try and, poke rivalries and create, tension where there isn't any, we don't really have to do that with an internal battle because kind of it's always there. I've never seen two teams in the same organization or uni or whatnot which haven't had a bit of that, oh, we've got to beat these guys. We've got to do it. We don't care what it takes. We've got to beat these guys. We'll, absolutely, okay, no, maybe not DDoSing their computers and stuff, but, short of that, anything. It will be a very interesting match, though.
I think it will be for sure. As a quick look at some of these lineups, Cicelo, Ben the Nut, Eki, Negative. I mean, when you look at the Rocket Lorg side, they're one of my picks to be a top 4, if not a top 2 team. So I do feel Rocket Lorg is the favorite in this matchup, but OpenNet Esports, Biker Glass in particular, has been a very strong performer in the past. Witzel as well can be very, very up to par when it comes to sort of the level of play we expect here. So I do expect this series to be a fun one, but again, if we were to play the prediction game, Rocket Lorg definitely, I would have to feel, are the favorites.
Yeah, I mean, the things you could say in the compliment of OpenNet is the fact they did take a 4-1 victory over Curtin. That feels pretty good, already having that win under your belt. And I agree with you, Rocket Lorg, they do look pretty good. And I think the interesting thing for me is the fact that these two teams have to, in the next round, if they win, play the winner of Uni SA beat Lethal and Swangang from Swinburne. And
yeah.
That game was incredible.
I mean, it was last year's final. It was last season's final, I should say. So that's what the winner gets. And the loser, I mean, they get the UTS Esches, who is also one of the better teams in this tournament. So it's it's not an easy road for either of his teams. Either way, we are kicking off straight into the action here. This is game number 1, and already Rocket Lorg Sai, that's Cicelo, I believe, getting the first goal straight out of the gate.
Yep. Pretty quickly. Was that kickoff goal? It comes through pretty quickly, and we mentioned a few times how stacked this this tournament kind of is in terms of the talent, and it's starting to get to the point where those are the only teams left. So every match should have some very high quality Rocket League. Right at the moment, it is going to be Rocket Lorg coming out of the gate swinging a little bit harder than I think Open Nets were ready for. But it's not like we are still in the first game. It's a 7-game series, remember? Back glass goes up high, tries to put that ball in somewhere which they maybe even take a pass, but Sai was just waiting for that one. And Rocket Lorg, they're going to look for another goal here quickly if they can, but kind of not holding on to it for long enough yet.
As we do see that shot. Oh, nice read off the backboard by Sai, as Eki will now be looking to clear up the field real quick through the lineups. Just one last time for Rocket Lorg. Sai, as well as Negative, who is probably going to be my key player to watch, as well as Eki. For the other side, you have Biker Glass 55, Classic Destruct, who I believe last time we saw OpenNet Esports, it was Classic who was sort of leading the charge actually to get them through. It was that must-win game, the final one of the season, in order to advance. Classic came up huge there, as well as Witzel. And those are our two teams, though. As we continue along, Witzel will be the one trying to get that clear off the side. While two defenders back, they double commit. Sai is going to have to try to pick up the pieces. Swings and misses. There was a chance. He even bumped Eki. What is that defense from Rocket Lorg? And somehow they don't get punished.
Yeah, not yet. I mean, they are able to hold on a little bit. Open Nets not quite finding their momentum in the series. Maybe there's something in that. Play goes the favor of Open Nets, at least in that, pardon me. At least in that 50 for now, but they aren't able to find too much speed on the play. Sai is just going to intercept that one straight away. Pass almost goes to Negative. There could have been something big there. But, just want to gain the control of the ball a little bit slower. Classic just Destruct in the corner here, but just didn't quite connect with that at all. And it's going to be a play from Rocket Lorg. And Open Nets looking a little bit uncharacteristically shaky in the opening 2 minutes of this game.
Yeah, they're not really playing their best just yet. As we do see Biker Glass looking to actually take the shot. I thought that was going to be a backboard setup to Classic Destruct, but kind of held it back. A couple more swings and misses. Negative will be the one who finally clears it through. Backboard play by Biker Glass, looking to chase it up, keeps it over the top of the next attacker. But Cicelo, who's been playing third man, Nothing has gotten past Sai just yet. Sai actually really has been the standout player for the first half of game number 1.
I agree with that. So has been involved in most of the plays there, both on offense and in defense, of course. You know, being that first player to score the goal, it's pretty good. 2 saves. Yeah, it has actually been in, I think, every single one of these plays so far. There's just another one kind of pulling that one away. Double commit on the attack means this one's probably not going to go very far, especially as Eki's able to pull that one out wide. Glass just not finding that touch again. I mean, Witsel gets a demo, but again, there's just no one else to kind of follow up on that attack.
As we do see Biker Glass now going to clear it across the middle. Defenders on that backboard can't quite find that read. Instead, it's going to be negative looking to push it forward. Witsel cuts it off. Double commit from Classic and Biker Glass. Gets the ball through the corner. But because of the double commit, Biker Glass had to turn the play into a bump, and there was no one to take the shot. A bit of over-aggressiveness so far I've seen on both sides. There's been a lot of double commits. Fair few unforced errors from players being a bit over, zealous in getting to the ball as well. I think both these teams taking advantage of the fact that this is a best of 7 and just getting some time to warm up. Love that bump from negative, though, to make it a 2-0 lead.
Exquisite bump, and you're right, taking a bit of time to warm up potentially, but only use that excuse for sort of this game, so they aren't able to step up soon. Yeah, fantastic. Actual just full-on crash tackled out of the road of that play. Does put them up in a 2-0 advantage as well. Still a bit of time on the clock, but open nets don't really look like they kind of have the form and have the style to be able to find that one. A slight knock on the defense meant that there was almost something coming through from that one, and Bikeglass wants to keep this going, but does give the ball up to Eki. And, you know, he's got to kind of find a bit more form in that one. Defense getting a demo. Got there eventually. And actually negative almost just runs that entirely and has to get hit from behind in order to stop that play.
Yeah, still almost turned into a great solo play. Eventually, it will be that tight pass out of the corner. Defense double committed towards that corner. You can see right there. Biker tries to throw it down, but then fell a little bit too far that way. So the boost and the momentum in order to get that initial touch is what put Biker out of position, put Classic in an awkward spot. 3-0 lead right now. Very strong heads-up play, actually, from Rocket Lord in order to sort of read the situation and put that one through. This is a massive lead right now for our blue side. 3 points up is 0 to the opponents. Less than a minute remaining. I feel, unfortunately, a lot of times when you get these sort of inter-uni battles, one team typically will be a lot stronger than the other. And Rocket Lord at the moment is just proving that through sheer consistency alone.
Yeah, I mean, the classic logic is, there's potential shot. It's got the angle there. The ball does go to Eki. Sai almost gets a very awkward touch. I was going to say it. We hadn't seen an own goal yet. And Sai almost is the one to deliver. But yeah, the classic logic is you put all your best players on one team and then have them do their best at winning the entire tournament. I actually don't know if that's as true in things like Uni League. There definitely is that element of it. But oftentimes you see as teams learn to work together, the synergy is more important if you have these players who are already kind of good enough to execute. It then becomes how well they're able to work together. But I agree with you, and I think that's the that's going to be the factor which is going to have to be overcome by, at the moment, open nets. It's looking like, right? Because we don't know necessarily which of these teams was designed to be the, A team.
I would predict it's the team with the RLCS experience.
I know, but I'm like, I don't think we don't literally know that was their intention, I guess is what I was trying to say.
True.
But yeah. But yeah, we know which team we expect to win. We know which team has the better players on paper. We just don't know if the uni constructed necessarily that way, or if it was just sort of like.
I mean, you can just look and see the prowess, because it's not as if it's like a traditional A and a B team. I say it's almost like an A and an A- team. Just because OpenNet Esports, they're still all high GC players. That everyone is when you get to this stage, and the fact that the University of Sydney can actually field 2 teams that can play at this level is very, very impressive. I mean, you would hope so, considering the size almost of that university. It might give them sort of. They have that larger player base, I think, to pick from. Don't get me wrong, but absolutely, it's still kind of crazy to see that, because there are some other large universities that can't field 2 teams that go all the way into a quarterfinal. As we do see a breakaway bump from negative, turns it into a goal. 1-0 for Rocket Lord.
Yeah, there it is. Just kind of shepherd along the field as well. It's kind of blocked out. Negative wasn't going to give Classic Destruct any opportunity on that. I'm not sure if that connected. I'm not sure if that counted as our own goal, but it's fine.
I'm not counting it.
No, I'm not either, but it was close. It was close. I could see that potentially, the potential there. Weitzel going to be picking this one up. Flicks it over the top. This is going to be blocked out by Eki, who seems to have been doing a good job of being in the right spots as well. I kind of talked about Sai in that first game as being the player who's just able to, constantly be in the play and sort of making the most of a lot of it. But I actually think Ecky's been in a good spot as well. Been more of the reliable player rather than necessarily big playmaker. Witsel goes off the backboard once again, but doesn't quite find the angle. That first one was the setup. The second one was the attempt on goal, you got to think, but it doesn't quite come through, and an opportunity missed there.
Oh, pinch! Oh!
Awkward. The pinch doesn't quite come through. I actually didn't even see Ecky coming for that one.
Oh my goodness. I saw Ecky coming and I saw it lined up. I wanted it. I am waiting for that 187 or 183 or whatever it was to be beaten. The fact that it came from a team not in the Oceanic region just has me down. But at the same time, the fact that it came from a Southeast Asian team, shot from Biker Glass, first points on the board from OpenNet Esports, and it comes to tie up game number 1.
Came from a really high angle. I mean, Negative was the one who put that up, and Biker Glass just had that
Woo!
play read from a very long time.
That's an A.
Yeah.
That's an A. I grade harshly, but that was the 85+ degree angle, over 100 kilometers per hour shot, doesn't hit the rim, doesn't hit the ground. That's a solid A plus goal right there.
All right, A+ goal from the A- team. I see. This is good. I don't know how many of those they need before they can get promoted.
Dude, their GPA is fine. Their GPA,
Okay.
Yeah, they're
Okay,
they're getting passing grades on the day, even if they have dropped the first game. They're doing quite well. Classic Destruct tries to find the. I think that's the first A for a goal I've actually given all season.
Oh damn, that's pretty good. I mean, it was a very good goal. Like, I kind of wish we had had the replay, the sort of POV replay for that one from Biker Glass, because that would be an exciting one to watch. They are putting on the offense a bit more now, which is nice, side of open nets. Biker Glass does whiff that one, unfortunately, though, and it's not going to be contagious. It's going to be picked up pretty well by the offense. But yeah, like, I like the fact that open nets, they're looking a bit more aggressive. We did actually see them, although this sounds a bit mean, we did kind of see them wake up a little bit. Biker Glass just gets the subtlest touch on that one to make sure the angle is just right. Comes with the backboard once again. 3 players in defense means it's going to be hard right now for Rocklog to kind of build that lead back, or pull that lead back, I should say. And now they're back onto defense. Weitzel is there, has some teammates, but I don't really think that was the touch they were going for.
Yeah, a bit too far back, and possession momentarily lost. Negative. Wow, found a way to really get a deeper clear. I wonder if that was Sai behind Negative. That looked a little. Nope, Sai was all the way forward. Okay, that was Negative. Great touch. Either way, Classic Destruct now was the one who gets possession. 2 defenders to beat. Negative, well, did enough to get that ball clear to the opposite corner. But we are seeing similar problems that we saw from Rocket Lorg, I think, last time we caught them on stream, where they overcommit, be it defensively or offensively. I mean, and that is off the posted in from Ecky. Okay, that's not fair. I feel bad for open net.
Yeah, I'm liking what I'm seeing from Ecky. It's not just it's not just been one player coming in from Rocket Log. They've all kind of been able to find something in this game. So I'm liking it. I'm enjoying what I'm seeing from them, especially Ecky in this game. 3 shots, 1 goal, 1 save. It's decent stats, you know, so far in the series, given it hasn't been the most high-scoring match. Solid attempt there, try and put the ball on target. Don't think they were quite going to get too much off it, but at least pull the defenders around a little bit awkwardly. Classic Destruct finds the pass off to Biker Glass, but it was a little bit too far forward. They led that one a little bit too hard, and it means they're not going to get a comfortable possession.
Yes, we do see play coming from Classic Destruct now, trying to get to that backboard. Doesn't quite get there in time. It will be Biker Glass eventually corralling the play. Boost collected. Double commit from the defense in the corner. Negatives out of position, but not enough velocity on the pass to turn it to a quick shot. Witsel kept it forward, but Negative going for a deep pass down to Ecky, who gets their backboard. Negative with the chance, throws it back to the middle, but Sai committed. Sai! Oh my goodness, had they stayed more in the middle of the pitch, that could have been a 3-1 lead.
That would have been good. That would have been very helpful in terms of taking them where they could have gone in this series. But to be fair, that was a kind of the inverse of the whiff we saw earlier in the play to almost open up the scoring for the side of open nets actually. But they still have to, at the end of the day, they still have that 1 goal advantage. They still have only 45 seconds to try and defend. But if Weitzel can set up plays like that, we just need Biker Glass to get a little bit more aggressive. I feel like there were opportunities being built by open nets, and that was fantastic. Classic Destruct goes over the top of both defenders. I was a little bit worried about this one, but it kind of came off a good setup from Biker Glass straight in. That
is such a tight window to squeeze through as well. The double committing defense not able to get there in time, and very, very heads-up play coming from open net to get themselves back in a gridlock game. 35 seconds to go. Sai, though, has already gotten Rocket Lord on the offensive. Eki holds it in the box and negative. Doesn't quite get that 50 to go the way that they want. 30 seconds to go. Golden goal, I would have to say. And it still is Rocket Lord playing on that orange side of the field. Well, they could have been, but instead, they fall all the way back on defense, and that leaves them exposed for the clear. Sai does get the backboard read, but put it straight. Shot down the middle, saved by Eki with 10 seconds to spare.
Yeah, the game is still tied up right at the moment. Eki has an opportunity, and actually, the defender goes a little bit high, tries to play off the post, and Eki finds it. Having a great game right at the moment. The passing setup from Sai and from Negative is just too good. Witsel actually, I realized, went for that jump a little bit aggressively, that 1v1. Had to sort of make a read happen, and it wasn't quite there. 6 seconds left, maybe a kickoff goal. It's not like we haven't seen a few of those today, but very, very hard ask for this to try and take the second game for Open Nets.
Ball has a chance. It's still in the corner, and Classic is there to keep it alive. Behind his biker glass, tries to get that pass to Witsel, but it's intercepted by Sai, who will put an end to game number 2. Rocket Lord up early in this series. Still 2 more games at minimum to go, so halfway to that prize of making it to the winner's semifinal. I think if Rocket Lord just calm down a little bit, communicate better, stop with the double committing on literally everything, they actually might find this series to go a lot easier for them. But as it stands, even with the unforced errors, they do find themselves up 2-0.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you a little bit there. Seen a few double commits from both sides, but it has been kind of haunting Rocket Lord a little bit more. Yeah, I mean, they're still finding those avenues. They're still finding those wins up. They're still finding the whiffs, it seems like. But, you know, they kind of...
They double commit on everything in some facet or the other. And it's not always necessarily going for the ball, though. Like, sometimes it's like just sending 2 players on the play. For example, off that kickoff, you had Negative dive in deep, cheat even further forward to look for a bump, relying on Sai to get that touch and clear. But it's more often than not really not panned out for them, and they've been put in awkward, like, sort of 2v1 situations again and again, and it's been unfortunate that Open Net hasn't been able to consistently capitalize on them. And I feel like that part of that does come from the pressure of always having 2 players committed by your opponents on every single play. It's just a very unusual game in that regard so far. Like traditional Rocket League, I feel like Rocket Lord would be getting punished a lot more.
Yeah, and it does make you a little bit worried considering they're going to be if they do win this, they're going to be facing in fact, in general, it doesn't really matter. They're going to be facing an incredibly strong opponent coming through further. So that's that's I think where it worries me a little bit. I mean, of course, these teams are very good, but the level of play you're going to be fighting as you go through these next few series is going to be even more opportunity for a goal here as the pass comes off the backboard, but doesn't go on target, and Vital able to clear it out. Negative going to give it this one another shot. Doesn't quite go for the double themselves, puts the ball a bit closer on the target for the passing play. Still doesn't quite work through as Sai comes to the backboard once again. Classic Destruct. Going to try and make it waterfall down for the defense. And that was actually a great attempt on the pass, but Eki just not there fast enough.
Classic Destruct looking to play from that side wall. Whoa, that's a great little pass back, actually, to Rocket Lord. Water falling down. Will be cleared out by Biker Class for the time being. Sai, though, still staying with it. Witsel doesn't make the backboard read, and Eki has already been there, so too is Negative, as Sai was going for the bump. That made Negative the 3rd member, but no one from Open Net wanted to challenge. They didn't need to. No one can touch the ball. It's just making its own way back to the blue side of the pitch. Finally, Sai gets there, gets past Classic. Now has to get past 2 more defenders, but Witsel able to make that read.
Yeah, and 4 players went up for that, so we're going to see a play slow down a little bit. Defense are able to sort of find their footing a little bit, kind of find their footing in time, I guess, for the next play. Classic Destruct wants that quick turnaround counterattack. It's not quite going to work out there. 50s one back-to-back, I should say, for Negative, really well. And it puts them back in a great position on the offense. Still no team is scoring. But if you can kind of keep this control from Rocket Lord, you got to think they're going to be the first ones to get it, as it does get broken a little bit, but Sai should be able to be the first player to get to this shot.
As we do see Classic throw it over to Eki, and up to Sai, the 1-2 punch to make it a 1-0 lead. Great use of teamwork right there out of the Rocket Lord team. 1-0 in favor of the favorites.
And there we are. That's more of our European football play. You know, kind of keep playing keepings off, making sure to keep connecting pass after pass after pass. It's a bit slower. It's a bit more, I guess, paced kind of map play, or a field play, I guess you'd call it. But it does work out if you're able to hold that possession for long enough. And now the pressure, once again, on Open Nets, not to just go down game after game after game. And, you know, I'm sure they won't want that. You know, funnily enough, they don't be facing that match point, unless I've counted my scores incorrectly.
Yeah, it'll be match point if they win this one, which they are technically on pace to do. So Vitzel off that backboard doesn't get the distance, or rather lack thereof, that they're looking for. A bit too hard, but Eki unable to keep it straight. That's going to have Negative versus Vitzel. Vitzel misreads the play, and Negative puts it through. 2-0 lead in favor of Rocket Lord.
Negative just kind of gets the better of that one, and it just goes through. And yeah, like, it looks like Rocket Log are just going to kind of keep this pressure on. They want to pitch that clean sweep. They can take this game and the next one. They're in pretty good form to do so. But yeah, we still have to see something a bit different from Open Nets. I still think that there could be a bit more commitment, a bit more aggression, a bit more pace on their plays. It feels like they're doubting themselves just a touch. But
it definitely feels that to be the case. And they were trying to overcompensate at times. Like, even to go back to that last defensive play by Vitzel, it was just a case of Vitzel jumping up and so desperate to be the first player to the ball that they used too much boost and overshot it. Like, Vitzel was going to get there first had the angle been better, and Negative just sort of picked up the scraps right there. But these are unforced errors that you make when you are under pressure, when you are realizing that, you know, our opponents are getting the better of us consistently, and you're starting to push yourself. And sometimes when you push yourself, you get goals like this. Vitzel, a bit of redemption to bring them back within one.
There it is. That's exactly
And that's the own goal!
I was about to say it. I was like, I'll wait for the replay, but I'm pretty sure there it is. There's our own goal. You thought you could escape it by taking a week off formal. Not going to happen.
15.
15 in a row. Oh, Lord. It's just, I think with that mark, I'm pretty sure that would mark every single game in the regular season having a goal.
Yeah.
And I kind of hope we see that in playoffs as well. You know?
I don't. I'm over it. 15's good. I want to start the counter over.
One season.
One full season.
One full season. We've got to get through the whole season. It will be good.
Okay.
But, oh, Lord. It's ridiculous, though. How does it keep happening?
I thought this was the one. I was already all prepared to call the curse dead. But apparently we can't have nice things. Not today. Fetch either way. Biker Glass through the corner. Gets intercepted by Eki, who looks to chase it along that corridor. Will be taken away by Classic Destruct. Sai on that back front. Does create a bit of pressure now. Gets another one across that middle of the field. Eki looking to chase it up, but Sai will throw it up for them. Ball waterfalls down in front of the net. Classic Destruct gets behind it. Last chance for OpenNet Esports in game number 3. They're on the hunt. They've got players retreating back because it is a clear from Eki. Biker Glass able to get underneath. Vitzel waiting for their time, waiting for the pass from Biker Glass, who waits for the last second to fake the touch. Brilliant fake. Biker Glass with the chance, kept it high. Sai had the defensive read and clears it all the way back to Vitzel, who kept it alive, but behind them, Classic tries to fall back. Sai gets it to the backboard. Eki not in position for the shot. The ball hits the ground, and Rocket Lord goes to match point.
And that was a very exciting long final second as well in that play. But, I mean, you kind of need that momentum to carry through in the next game. Because remember, this is match point Open Nets. They don't just have a reverse sweep. They have a 4-game reverse sweep if they want to take this series. It's a big, big ask for them. You know, maybe they're up for it. That could be a thing. You kind of talked a bit about fatigue. I don't think in these longer best-of-7 series, I don't think they can kind of rely on that given the fact their opponents are experienced as anything. You talked about them, RLCX players, and things like that on the field. It means they've got that veterancy, so you really have to find something, some weird out-of-the-box strategy. Start playing for demos, you know, start playing for, it's not like they haven't sort of tried that in the past, but just try coming out with something a bit weird. That was a bit close for comfort, as Eki's going to try and put that one on target again, but it's going to go back to Vitzel for now as Biker Glass.
Oh, fake!
Let's try find that. Ooh, Vitzel gets it.
That's what we wanted to see, Fetch. The fake coming through this time, and of course the replay angle doesn't show it, but it worked like a charm. Biker Glass faked, actually going for that touch. Vitzel stayed with the play underneath. Defense bites. Open net for the goal. So a 1-0 lead for OpenNet Esports. It's that one that they needed. Can they now hold on for the remainder of a game?
Yeah, it's one thing to get an opening goal. It's another thing to be able to convert that into a full-on victory right at the moment. I mean, the momentum carrying the ball forward for the side of Rocklog at the moment, and you know, they're not looking too bad. Never mind, there's a big whiff, and Vitzel might have been an opportunity if they can take the ball offside, but they just didn't find the speed on that one. Classic trying to set this one up. It's Biker Glass as well with them, and yeah, they're just not quite finding that momentum forward, but they're playing more aggressively. Double commit on the attack this time. You know, it's open nets instead of Rocklog, but it still has the same effect. It still pulls the ball down into their defense and puts them in a very awkward position as Biker Glass just pulls that one away from a good shot from Negative.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of close calls already in this matchup. Negative from that defensive corner. Challenged by Witsel already. Sai there, who will be able to find that second touch. That gets Classic a bit out of position across the middle, though Biker Glass looking for that opening. Ball got to the backboard, but Eki is still able to push it to the safety of the corner, where all three members of Rocket Lord were. Again, a little bit too slow on that counterplay, but it's a pass up the middle. Biker cannot find that last touch. Classic looking for the double to put it through. Sai runs enough defense, and Negative will be able to push it a little bit further down. No boost, open deck. Eki tried to go for boost instead of ball, but could not get back in time. A 2-0 lead for Open Net.
There it is. That's a much better feeling for the side of Open Nets right at the moment. They kept that attack on. I loved seeing what I loved seeing what they were kind of bringing forward in that attacking play. They would keep continuing to go. They were rotating through the attack. They had awkward opportunities, and they're really putting the pressure on the Rocket Dog defense. It didn't feel like it was just, oh, one silly mistake and that was the goal. But it did feel like it was pressure, and it was putting them on the back foot. And I did like the cute little bounce from Eki off the wall to save that waterfall shot, because it wasn't coming straight down the line. It was a little bit awkward. It was a hard call to make. And right at the moment, this might be another play if Negative can't get to this. But they are able to. We might actually score if the 1-2 from Eki is there. And that was nice.
That was navigating through chaos, I think is the best way to put it. Negative to Eki, who just got that touch right behind Witsel, who, it was a bit unfortunate for Witsel. Stuck in the 2v1 situation. Tried to position themselves right in between the two, but like threading a needle necessarily in that situation in order to find that goal. And back within one right now. Ironic, because that's Open Net Esports, you know, the anagram for them, ONE. A 1-goal lead. They're going to try to hold on to it. Witsel on the attack. Will they be able to find the goal here? It's waterfalling down. But Eki, who has been arguably one of the better backboard defenders, is once again able to get their first Classic Destruct, tries to throw it back. Eki interception. Now here comes a bit of that breakaway. You have Sai across the middle, who's going to look for the shot, gets under the first defender. Classic got there at that last possible moment.
Yeah, just finding, I mean, Classic doing a decent job of kind of trying to take that same title from Eki in terms of playing that defensive role. Has been there a few times when, being that sort of best backboard defender on the field, I guess, you know what I'm saying. Has been in the right position quite a few times.
Oh, good touch.
Bounced it over the top, but there was a demo, so it's not going to be anything more coming through from that play. Actually, demo went the other way anyway, but
yeah,
it went the other way. Not going to find too much more from that play. Eki trying to cheat forward, but it's a very awkward kind of way, trying to put some harassment on the defenders, I think, a little bit, and they're all kind of stuck in the same position. Someone has to find a clearance. It's going to be Classic Destruct who gets it, tries to drop down quickly to get a counter hit, I think, there, but doesn't quite work through.
Oh, this is dangerous.
Now it's Biker Glass in a 1v3, basically.
What a fake from Eki! Tie ball game!
Yeah, I'm going to need a replay for that one, because Negative and Eki, again, playing the ball off each other so well. Oh, okay, I see it. Negative gets the knock onto them as well. It's just kind of everything going right. I'm pretty sure, I'm almost certain Negative connected there as well.
No, Biker Glass jumped up to avoid the bump, and Eki stopped the hard push and instead spiked the ball down to get underneath at the last possible moment. That was
ridiculously
so
cool.
slick. That was so slick.
And that, yeah, as you said, that ties up the game as well. It puts the pressure just back on Open Nets. If this game goes to an overtime, I mean,
breakaway.
It's just the pressure. Oh, this breakaway is dangerous.
Oh.
Classic Destruct just gently puts it onto that post. Had to fight against Sai as well on that attacking play. It's just going to be Eki again, third man from the skies.
Eki is coming unglued in this third game right now. Negative wins the perfect 50, and Eki just redirects that for the hat trick, for the 3-2 lead. A minute 20 remaining. Rocket Lorg, they've got to hold on for 80 crucial seconds. They're going to that winner semifinal. Eki off the kickoff as well, maintains possession. One defender to beat. Classic pre-jumps, but this time makes the save.
Well, I was a bit worried about the touch from Witsel, but it does go far enough. Negative does get the touch on it, but again, no more players around. Classic Destruct push the ball up forward. 1 minute to stay in this upper bracket. 1 minute left to try and contest one of those two top teams from last year's grand finals, depending on how that series goes. Ball being carried off the corner right at the moment. Open Net realize very little room for error right now. Sai and Negative both in the goals. They're going to have to beat out both of them, but the ball comes safe. It actually gets put in the corner, and Sai and Eki playing slow, playing calm and collected in that defensive line. They know they're just going to hold on for another few seconds. And they're doing so, it seems like, pretty comfortably as well.
That said, that touch from Sai, not what Rocket Lorg needed at the moment. It will open the doorway for a final attack, perhaps. 30 seconds on that clock. Goal required from OpenNet Esports. Biker Glass trying to slow it down, losing possession, and what a pump from Negative in order to break the play up before it gets going now. We see Classic Destruct with the slow play forward. Vitzel tries to follow it, but no one's quite there. 12 seconds remaining as Biker Glass plays it through that corner. Awkward touch back. No one in the middle of the field except for Negative to keep the ball on the wrong side of the pitch. And Fetch, I think it might be done. Biker Glass puts it too far forward, and that is Rocket Lorg advancing to the semifinals.
Yeah, they're just able to hold on to it a little bit too well. The midfield control there was good, and it ends up being a 4-0 scoreline to close this series out as well. A fantastic effort from Rocket Lorg. I'm a bit sad that that's kind of where we have to see that series end, because I genuinely really liked seeing how OpenNet's played in that last game. I do agree that first series was a banger and possibly one of the better we'll see in the finals, but that fifth game of that last match was really tense. And it's unfortunate we didn't see a little bit more of these two teams in that matchup. But it was a cool final game to end our stream on and end that series as well.
Yeah, and it's just great to get into these quarterfinals as well. The gameplay always gets so much better. And even though we saw 4-1 and a 4-0, they were tighter games. Like, it's impossible to stay cool, calm, collected. Like, I'm not going to lie. I came into this, I was worried I was going to be a bit fatigued, a little bit rusty. It doesn't matter when the games are this much fun. And what I loved most was the physicality we were getting out of Rocket Lorg towards the end. The bumps, the demos, they were getting more aggressive, and OpenNet was responding in kind. However, a little bit too much of a difference between these two teams. But what a great atmosphere, obviously, for these playoffs. And it's still kind of just the beginning. I mean, we can take a look at the table right now. Hasn't been adjusted just yet. And maybe if I refresh, we can able to get a little something. Yep, there it is. We can see Deakin against the QUT Rusketeers, OpenNet against the Eshays. There are going to be tough matches in the future, and we still have Beating Lethal versus the Swang Gang, Monash Ball Chasers versus RMIT. Like, there are so many good games still to come, and this is just the start of it. So if you haven't already, like, follow, subscribe, Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, Facebook, all the social media platforms, get involved because playoffs are so good.
They are. They've been absolutely fantastic. They only get better. We have so many more teams. I think, stick around. There's a couple of matches there, like the rematch from last year. Last year's grand finals being in the quarters is ridiculous. So I'm so excited for so many of these games. So am I.
But we do have to sign off for tonight, so stay with us. There's going to be more great Rocket League in that near future. That has been Fetch up above. I have been Formal down below. And until next time, thank you all for watching. We'll see you out there on the pitch.